So anyway, we spent some time at the range today trying out the RDB. Got two former paintball teammates. Brian still kind of plays off and on a bit. And so we looked at the RDB from kind of a paintball perspective. I think Brian's played a lot more recently. It's been a while since you played, and you and I, it's been quite a few years. So you've gotten kind of married to the AR. Yep. I've dabbled in the MDR, but I do like my BCM AR. But I am really digging this. When I think of this, if I were going into a paintball field that had concrete bunkers and it was fight for real, I would rather have this than my AR. What do you guys think?
I'm gonna go with the AR no matter what.
No matter, just because you're familiar with it, or because
I know there's functions with it that just work better.
I did a lot of paintball kind of shooting today with it, and this outperformed. Yeah. I think it did way better.
Yeah.
I think it did way better than an AR did in that kind of situation.
Should have switched to elbow pads if you're going to do that.
It's like if you're shooting from a bench or just static shooting, an AR is certainly capable.
You can
even some mobility stuff. It's okay.
The mobility stuff I can do with the AR.
But
I can do that stuff I was doing today with the AR. No problem. This makes it way easy.
Yeah.
Way easier. Hands down. It's got...
I mean, thinking of like ambidextrous transitions from left to right. The weight's close to your body, so it's...
The only problem I had was I put the safety on switching hands one time. Mm-hmm. But that only happened once. Just trying to... Oh, left hand safety, not too nice. Let's see. As far as the hand switch, that's not really where it shines. Where it really shines to me is there's no weight out here. All your weight's in your core, and when you're leaning out of corners and stuff, you want all that weight on your core, not out front, because that'll dip you over. So when you're leaning out, if it's all here, it's all underneath your legs, so that you're staying steady, and you're not going to fall out.
So you're talking about that paintball style of snap shooting,
yep,
where you roll out. You're basically shooting,
you roll out,
bending at your hips.
You're bending at your hips, and you're keeping your feet planted, and this keeps that weight all back here. And that way when you're leaning out, that weight's not getting as much away from your legs. Get away from where you...
Over the top. There you go.
Okay. It does feel just like a paintball gun.
And basically what we're talking about, when we talk about doing the snap shooting stuff, we're talking about optimal use of cover, which is one of my catchphrases. Being ambidextrous is one of the ways to achieving optimal use of cover. And that's what we learned in paintball. All of us learned that being ambidextrous in paintball. If you weren't ambidextrous, you were done.
You're done. Get rolled in 30 seconds.
Yeah. And so you're basically saying that kind of mobility from behind cover
is better. I mean, you have way less weight out here, so that means that all of that movement you're making is less accentuated, I guess is how you'd say it. Like it's not being shoved around. Like with an AR barrel, all the weight's out forward. You move it, that weight wants to keep carrying you over. You don't have that as much. It's more like a paintball gun where the weight is in the tank most of the time.
Right.
So the tank's right on your shoulder, right here. It basically making yourself like a turret. This all stays solid, and you're coming out. So, and that keeps that weight as close to your legs as possible, which is good because that means you're not going to tip over, you're not going to fall backwards or forwards.
and you
keeping
can
that.
make movement of opportunity.
Yeah, you can
you're
stay
on-
mobile,
you're on
you
your
can stay
feet, so
mobile.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're able to make. And then the other thing is the fact that, okay, this RDB has a 20-inch barrel, but yet the overall length of the package is so short that from behind cover, I mean, you can get really close to cover. And we didn't set
That
up
makes
any
a
barriers
difference.
for you to shoot
No,
behind.
and we probably should
but-
do
but,
that at some point, try
But
that
yeah,
out.
but an AR, you're going to be about 6 inches further back, even with the 16-inch barrel AR. That pushes you 6 inches back further than the 20-inch barrel of the RDB. Now, if we went with a, say, a 16-inch barrel on this, we're basically talking about it, the barrel ending right there, and we're talking almost pistol, you know,
Which is
SBR,
good.
very
Like,
SBR.
the closer
length.
you are to your cover, the better.
Yeah.
Because that cuts down.
Sometimes, yeah.
Well, it generally, yes. I mean, obviously, grenades and
Sometimes you'll
stuff,
play back off of it.
play back of it. But you're cutting angles down, essentially. The closer you are to it, people have to flank around you much, much more in order to get a shot on you. If you're standing out there with your 16 or 20-inch barrel sticking out, you're coming all the way out. Somebody shooting from this side come at you at an angle has a way bigger target.
Of course, Brock was always the back player and kind of the team leader as a back
You
player.
hug that shit though. Like
But you
hug
still
the
hug the
cover.
back player, but
Yeah.
you were more kind of generally. If you were having to make moves in the snake, shit was going bad. Some bad.
No, it's
things
usually
were
going
gonna
really.
happen.
If I'm in the snake,
It's-
things are going
yeah,
usually really good because that means there's plenty of room for me to start moving up down the tape with the rest of the team.
Yeah.
But you want to hug cover.
Yeah.
Like being, I mean, obviously, I guess like in war zones, you have grenades and stuff like that. Things you don't know about in paintball, but you end up, the closer you are to your cover, the more protection it's going to give you, particularly from your flanks. Because the closer you are, you're cutting, you have to leave, or you don't have as much of a wide angle of you sticking out. Like if you see people in paintball in cover and they're hugging it tight, you got to get way around them before you can start shooting them.
Yeah. They're like sucked up right in tight behind it. Yeah. And something, of course, we didn't get to try today was one of the moves that you often have to do in paintball is when you're going off the break, is you're having to dive into the snake.
Yeah.
Now, you think about diving with firearms, and of course, you know, that's not something you want to practice at home. But
wouldn't do
but if you're in a real gunfight, there may be situations where you had to do that. You know, I mean, if it's a choice of die or dive on gravel and rock into cover, I'll do the diving. Now, one thing I've talked about is the fact that with these bullpups, you've got the center of the balance here, right at your pistol grip, you're able to dive with this and do like we did in paintball, almost rotate to the side like that, and you hit the ground and you dive like that, and without that weight way out there, it's not going to rotate down, dig into the dirt. Whereas an AR, there's no way you could do it. With an AR, you're going to have to switch your grip up in front of the mag well to get that balance to where it doesn't rotate down when you hit the ground. And the same thing for even doing the baseball slides, you know, or any one-handed operation where you can bring the rifle up and still operate it and do other things with your normally a support hand.
Yeah, no,
you can do that with this,
balance
which is hard to do on
it's
an
pretty
AR.
crazy.
It's not impossible to do on an AR, but
Just requires wrist strength.
yeah, it
It's
requires
just-
pushing
it's really
easily again.
balanced.
Yeah, and we don't even have the magazine. If you throw a magazine in, it becomes a little bit more rear heavy usually, but definitely.
I didn't
muzzle
notice
light.
that too much. The main thing that I noticed with it was how quickly the muzzle was snappy, and how you could just stop it.
Mhm.
Like that was to me the big improvement.
Inertia, physics,
Yeah.
basically.
The
I did
inertia
a-
of the movement was way better.
like a shocker versus the old DM Matrix 3s in the old days of paintball. I did a little experiment when I took usually run this without the flash hider. It's what I've been doing. But I took a cleaning rod and put the flash hider out at the end of the cleaning rod and just felt what that weight felt like back at the hand, you know, at 20 inches. And it's surprising, you know, a 3-ounce flash hider, when you extend that on into a lever basically and you're having to control it, that is affecting your ability to snap that from one side to the other. And that's why the AR guys, you see all the running gun guys, they're always doing that
the C-grip,
C-clip out
or at
there,
least
get it
they're
out
holding
there.
it way
Yeah,
out forward.
way out forward, get leverage on it. And you don't have to do that with this. I mean, you can almost just like, at the pistol grip, you can
In
sit
fact,
out.
actually, I bet if we took my current paintball setup, these are about the same,
Mhm.
almost identical.
That wouldn't be the same weight.
Yeah.
No, the weight is
Yeah,
not.
no,
I thought you said
no,
weight.
length, same length,
The
yeah.
length is the same.
And probably the pistol
grip
grip
is
is
gonna
about
be
the
about
same
the same
position,
location.
and probably the feel as far as the balance of weight
Yeah.
is similar.
You put a foregrip up here, like a 90-degree or something like that, and it will feel identical to my current setup.
We're gonna have to try that.
I'm almost certain
Yeah.
it would be
Yeah.
almost identical.
Is that still a vertical? Is that still a gas system that's running through
Yep.
the paintball foregrips? Is up there like
Yep.
that?
No, I thought that all went to the grip now.
It does, but it still goes through. This is still a regulator. It's just
Oh.
running it up through here. It still is a regulator, or your battery's going there now.
Yeah.
So, but I bet if you put a vertical foregrip on this, it's going to be almost identical.
I think so. Yeah, that's to me is the thing is like, I mean, we all know that the AR platform is refined, it's perfected. Is the AR stoner design is at the pinnacle of what it can be. And this is really a new design, you know, in a way. I mean, it's been out, you know, a decade, I think, almost. But the AR platform it's a 60-year-old design, and it's been refined to where, you know, like our BCMs that we all have are just
Yeah,
freaking amazing
I mean,
as far as quality
They're
and
actually
build.
reliable.
Everything works on them, and it's just dialed in. Now, we've not yet had any malfunctions with this. We don't know quite about the longevity. I just know that for me, if you said, I'm gonna have to go fight for my life out on a paintball field, and I had to, and my AR's there, and my RDB's there, and as long as I know this thing's been cleaned recently, and it's like I've inspected it, I'm going with this, no doubt. I mean, it's just gonna be way more effective with it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
So. I can.
Maybe?
Bring Eric.
Bring Eric in? What's his opinion? Don't strip it.
Do you need tools?
Nope. I might need a little screwdriver here in my work. So let's see, we've got these little cupped ones are the pins that push out.
You need a bolt down.
And they push. See the cups on this side, and you think it would push from this side, but they don't. This is the one that actually removes the foregrip. The one to actually get basically the rear off is these two here. Oh no. These two remove. Get the pistol grip off of the action. This one up here is the one that removes the foregrip. So that's right here. And so the pins are allegedly captive. The first time I knocked them out, I did knock one of them all the way out. And once those two are done, you kind of pull down on the pistol grip, and then this like.
That's it for the spring. Huh?
So that's the
the spring.
that's the like the
Does that
recoil
come out?
spring, and that's the
Or is that cap?
that's the bolt carrier group right there. So basically, there's what looked kind of like an AR, and then this third pin all the way in the rear will let us get to where we can actually see the trigger group. And you can see how this hammer.
It looks like an 8 lug. Oh, it has a different. Oh, there's the hammer. It did get a little dirty today.
Well, I've had kind of cleaned it since I shot it, you know, in the past couple weeks actually. Here's what I was talking about. You can actually, I mean, you got full access to the lockup in there. as far as cleaning, you know. It's,
Yeah, that's not bad at all, getting that access.
Yeah.
Weird. The breech is just screwed on, huh? Well, I guess this is just the lockup part of it. The breech is on the barrel.
that could almost be like or tweaked to be like a short-barreled something.
Yeah.
Single shot.
Oh, you got this assembly?
Yeah, I broke it down.
Is it just a bunch of push pins?
There's two captive pins to pull the pistol grip down, and then this third pin here allows you to take this, basically this cover off the rest of the way, where you can see
That looks like the-
see the trigger group.
This is supposed to be the receiver.
That's the, I don't know what, it's really just a cover, almost like a dust cover, like on the, it'd be equivalent.
See, and
to
this
a
is where I think
dust
these would be so much better is if they could just,
for a malfunction.
yeah,
Yeah.
get that
Pull this
lifted
rear
up.
pin, lift it up, you know, deal with the malfunction, slam it back down. Maybe not even use a pin.
That's
use
a-
something.
Oh, there is a bit of a buffer back here. Little, some kind of polymer.
But if it had something like the AK where you pushed it and then lifted it up, deal with the malfunction, close it back down, boom, done. Not using, that part would be, you know, not using a pin for that. Pins are fine for, I guess, the field stripping, but
Being able to like actually fix problems is
that's
better.
the bolt carrier group.
That's really small.
Yeah,
How does that
tiny little-
capture? What is? I'm guessing this.
What do you mean captured?
The bolt.
The bolt head is captured just like an AR,
Well,
but then
it's
there's a little
canned,
pin that
but-
holds the firing pin in, is like an AR-10.
It's this little thing, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously that for sure. So how do you get the bolt out of this for cleaning it?
Basically, you take the little, let's see, that pin there comes out, it's just a pressure fit, it's like a little O-ring in there, it's like an AR-10. When that comes out, the firing pin drops out. Once the firing pin drops, it's really just like an AR.
Yeah, you
This is
twist,
then,
you can rotate
this is then the
that.
bolt head pin, you pull that out and then the bolt comes out. Yeah, the bolt head comes out.
Pretty straightforward.
So this is really, I mean, for a piston
Kind
system,
of odd that
that's
this is
pretty
welded though.
nasty, but
What's welded? The gas tube?
Your bolt carrier is welded to the gas.
today,
tube.
yeah.
Not.
That could be a failure.
That could
It
be.
could be a failure point.
Depends on how good the welds are.
Looks
No,
pretty good. I mean,
yeah,
they stacked
it
some dimes there
Yeah.
for sure. But
I like.
it's not
I
even
like
on
how
both
this, where you
sides.
can,
Yeah.
I mean, you can clean this
Yeah,
like,
that makes it real easy to
easy
get
to clean into that.
walk up.
Put in something there.
Zip gun.
Yeah.
I don't know why they would weld that.
What, welded? It's cheap.
This is where all the force is. So much is happening right here.
I mean, how much force do you think is happening? Because the lockup is taking, this is taking the brunt of it, isn't it?
Well,
when it fires, and it's not really until the
this
gas
is
comes
pushing.
through.
Well, yeah, this is
Until the
it's
gas
the
comes-
minute the gas comes through here, though, that's going to put a lot of pressure on that because that's what's pushing this back to rotate this to unlock it and then keep going. Seems odd that they would weld
I mean,
that.
that's a pretty long bead there, both sides.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll
Seems a
find
little
out
weird
if
to
that's
me.
going to be a
It seems
failure
weird to
point.
me though to weld that instead of
Yeah.
machine this whole
Yeah.
piece.
Well, machining that whole piece would be that'd be real expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Then we're suddenly into MDR pricing. So instead of getting 2 RDBs for the price of an MDR, we are now paying MDR prices. And then we got this other pin to remove the foregrip, and it's a capture pin. Now this just rotates down, comes off of the two pins right there, and there's basically everything. This is the charging handle, which can be switched
Swapped.
left or right. That's the one thing I'd like to see, is this needs to be ambidextrous, truly like the MDR with charging handles on both sides. I really like, but I do like that.
you know what I found out like with shooting today though is that the charging handle actually did not come into play a whole
Yeah,
lot.
and
When you're doing reloads,
If you're doing
with this thing,
everything
it's
right,
not-
it's,
it's
once you
not
got it
coming
loaded
into play that
initially,
much.
yeah, you're using the bolt release, but
It won't go all the way back anyway. when there's something in it, when there's a magazine. If you haven't removed the mag yet,
Yeah.
and you won't lock all the way back until you remove the magazine.
Yeah. Did not come into play though as much as I thought because these work just fine.
But this adjustable gas system is one thing that's really cool compared to the MDR. The MDR was always it has 6 positions. It's really crude controls. And to get to it, you basically had to take it all apart. But this one, you can actually reach it and make adjustments on the fly.
You played with that at all?
Yep.
You see
Yeah. In
that
fact,
difference?
they've got a video where basically what you do is you set it, you back it, you go all the way in, close it all the way off, and you back it out 10, and then you put 1 round in the magazine, fire it, and see if it locks back. And if it locks back, then you open it up a little bit, 2 more clicks, fire 1 round again in the magazine until it quits locking back on empty. And then you come back in 4, and that's your, they say, is the setting to go with. And then it made a difference. I noticed when I first shot it without doing anything on it, it wasn't harsh, but you noticed it was a little more recoil. But once I got the gas
Yeah, it
dialed
felt
in,
snappier that first time we were
yeah,
shooting it.
but once I
And
got the
today
gas
it felt
dialed
like
in,
nothing.
really mild, yeah, really tamed it.
Like I said, you put a comp on this thing.
And to be honest, I actually, on the MDR, largely because it was such a bitch to get to, and it's like one of those things you had to like stick something in there and try to tweak it around and stuff, and it only had really 6 settings. This has, I don't know, a shitload. I never messed with it, so it's possible the MDR could have maybe done some work with that and maybe gotten it to where it wasn't so, we had that kind of harshness in it that we fixed with a brake, and maybe I could have fixed
Done
it
that
with
with
the
the
gas
gas
system.
instead.
Especially if it had the fine adjustment that this one does, but this is, I don't know,
And
this is the foregrip that I call does my barrel make my ass look fat, and it kind of, you know, it's kind of
It's
just
chunky, but actually
chunky.
it feels alright.
It
especially
feels
if you're
fine
just holding
using it.
open
Yeah, you
palm.
don't notice it shooting, but it's just,
Yeah.
I do
It
wish
just
it,
has no attachments.
it needs to have M-locks on it, or, I mean, I guess the pick rail on the bottom is okay, but I think it just really have M-lock around it.
Well, that is.
But
one
they
thing.
do have that option.
Any weapon lights you want to put on this thing to make it ambi, it will either have to be on the bottom. It will, like at least your pad will have to be on the bottom. That'll be a little bit different. I'm used to using the thumb
Over the top.
instead of a finger.
But you can't put a weapon light on that.
Yes, you
You
can.
could put it on the bottom.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we got one in
Not
the
if
drawer
you-
that matches almost.
Not if you wanted to have a grip on it though.
I guess you could do.
A
They make
foregrip,
them that
a
have
vertical
angles
grip.
that you can angle it out, and you could
Yeah,
have
you
it
mean you
sit
could get like a
here
45
physically.
on it. Yeah.
Then you could run a pad
Pressure
on it,
switch and
pressure switch,
traction.
to make it.
I think you're
fully
talking
ambi.
about, well, weapon lights I guess aren't that heavy.
Especially those Surefire Scouts and stuff like that. They're really light.
Yeah, and then even with the weapon light on there, it's basically where your support hand is, so it's right there, or that whatever weight that is, you're moving. It's easy to move. It's
Yeah.
not like it's way out there on the end of the long rifle.
About the only thing that super impressed me about this thing was the trigger though.
Yeah, Brian was just mentioning that
Yeah.
the trigger is like really,
So the
really
trigger
good.
super impressed me, especially for a bullpup.
Mhm.
Trigger is
Notoriously
really-
bad,
Yeah,
but-
notoriously bad triggers.
They're not as bad as people say, I don't think. but
Yeah, not as
overall,
yeah.
but I mean, this
Some
one
of them
definitely
have
has.
really been
Some of
bad.
them are like super.
But it's
super
kind
bad,
of
but-
weird is that the 2 American bullpup manufacturers really have good triggers. The MDR had a good
The
trigger.
MDR
Well,
trigger's
I mean,
just
really,
heavy.
the only thing that you really
This
got.
one's lighter,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
feels better. But the MDR just had a nice crisp break, but it was heavy. This one, there's some take up, but the trigger.
I feel like a
break is
lot of the problems that
pretty
people
solid.
have with bullpup triggers is the rod that goes back is some cheap, flimsy piece of crap piece of metal. Whereas I can see the rod here, and it's
And it's kind of like it's free, in a way, free floated away
Yeah.
from the plastic, and there's like little standoffs every so often. So if it does rub against anything, it's just a short little standoff.
and it's beefy. Probably shouldn't do that.
Right? Yeah. Probably not good, but
Probably not.
it survived it. A test.
Like they
But that's what's actually making the noise.
yeah.
It's not this hitting stuff.
It's
It's
not
the-
hitting the
it's
back
the
of
metal.
the firing pin. It's
Yeah.
hitting.
The
I guess
part
it's
of the-
stop in a way, isn't it? Kind of.
Well, it's rotating
So-
up into it. So what's hitting? See those metal wings right here that it's riding on?
Mm-hmm.
They're hitting the frame. That's why it's making so much noise.
It's what you hear. Yeah, when you dry fire this thing, it's like you almost need
The
to wear
hammer is
muffs.
sheet metal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like, is it really? That's a
Yeah,
sheet
I mean,
metal?
it's
Wow.
yeah, it's stamped sheet metal with a. It's got a steel head on it.
Yeah.
This is getting dangerously close to AK territory.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. If Kalishnikov designed a bullpup, that's where we would probably be. Except it wouldn't have polymer.
It would be all
parts.
stamped
Yeah.
steel.
They all stamped steel. Yeah.
Lots of rivets.
Yeah.
Lots of rivets. Yeah.
I mean, for a KelTec rifle, this is definitely one of the highest quality ones I've ever seen. And
You're
fired.
comparing it because you're the SU-16.
Yeah.
That's the only other really KelTec rifle.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't really count those stupid 9mm carbine things.
SP 2000 or whatever.
Yeah, whatever that thing is. I mean, the only other rifle they really make is that SU-16. And
Well, the RFB, the other
yeah, the
bullpup.
other one. But that's just the 308 version of this, really.
It's quite a bit different because where this one's ejecting
Straight
downward
down,
out
it
the
ejects
back,
out the front.
it's pushing it all the way out the front. It's kind of weird, but interesting. I mean, I guess
The out the back sucks for prone. Like I shot 3 rounds prone today, and I got burned by at least one.
Yeah, you need to definitely wear elbow pads and kind of a heavy shirt
Yep.
if you're shooting prone. It's good for containing your brass. If you want to keep all your brass in a little pile,
It will do that.
it'll stack it
It'll
right up
just
there.
stack it right into your chest.
And it's great. I mean, of course, the reason for it is to be ambidextrous. I mean, and that's cool that a manufacturer actually goes, we got to make a bullpup, but it's got to be ambidextrous, and that's kind of cool that they insisted on. We come up with a solution to that. Now, Desert Tech's was to build that ejection system that basically pushed the case over to this side and shoved it out towards the front, which was really complicated. It worked fine. I mean,
Yeah, I never had any
never
malfunctions
had any
with
problems
it.
with it. No,
I didn't have any problems with it.
but this one, looking at it, seems more, at least it's more conventional. In fact, it's basically pulling that case back and using conventional just ejectors,
Yep,
to
just
throw,
to throw it down.
but throwing it down instead of out to the side.
I will say that the MDR is way more fun and more pleasurable to shoot than the MDR. Or the RDB
Yeah.
is way more pleasurable to shoot than the MDR.
That was a
That was a
308.
7.6.
It was 308, but that thing was like,
It was kind of harsh for a 308.
yeah, like I've shot 308 many times and it's never been that brutal until I shot it. And when you got the comp
well,
on
we'll
it,
get
the comp
the brake
did help.
help.
The comp did help.
And
but
probably, like I said earlier,
Yeah, the
gas
gas
adjustment
system
might
could
have
probably
dialed that in a better.
I never felt like I was getting punched in the face by the bolt shooting this though.
Yeah. Well,
The
the
bolts-
MDR also had it where it was like basically the pick rail was like it curved right up into the pick rail, right where our cheek was at. So
That's
we were
true,
like,
so it did help.
we were like
Getting hit
getting pounded
right in the cheekbone.
that cheekbone. But yeah, the comp fixed that, and the gas adjustment might have tuned that out anyway. But 7.62, 5.56, that's a pretty big difference right there.
It is a big difference, but it's also, I mean, shooting AR-10s over AR-15s does not feel
It
that
doesn't
big of a
hurt you.
difference.
You don't end up with a bruised face. Now the thing is like the Desert Tech, the 7.62 the weight is pretty conventional, but when you look at the Desert Tech MDR, the 5.56 version, it's a pound heavier than this one, so it's pretty.
But that's
Kind of
also,
out
it's
of-
all interchangeable though too.
Yeah, you
So-
can swap barrels and put a.
Which sounds cool in theory, but I think
I always think that
It's
if
kinda
I'm
gimmicky,
going to buy
but-
another barrel, I want another rifle with it. 'Cause I
Exactly.
don't want to have a.
I'm
I'd
not.
rather have 2 functioning rifles than 1 rifle that has 2 barrels. I mean,
I could see wanting something like that maybe on like some of those like crazy sniper systems they built back in the 80s that were kind of ridiculous, but on a battle rifle, you're not going to be swapping your barrel out for
Yeah.
5.56 or 308.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
depends on your mission requirements.
I
Your
guess.
operator. Okay, what I need first is to get this piece on the back one, back there. Right, that one there.
And then lock it in place.
And when it-
You're not-
that's
you're
not,
not-
that's not
you're
in.
not all the way in.
Yeah, and that's the hard part.
You need to push it inward, I think. Because you got the rear pin in, didn't you?
Yep.
Yeah,
Rear
your pin's in. He's ready to go. Yeah,
Yeah.
getting what I had to do was basically like rotate it out a bit and then first align the metal part with its hose and then push the pistol grip in.
Well, that's what I've done. That's what I thought. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. For a second I thought you were going to make a lot more faster progress than I did with it the first time I filled it.
AR is easier to field strip.
Yeah, definitely.
Pull one pin out, pull the whole bolt assembly out, done. But that's bullpit mess right there, always.
It's almost like its own pin was causing it trouble.
Yeah, those pins do have to be all the way backed out.
There we go. This one should, in theory,
Tap it in with the flashlight. I assume that's a tough tactical light. I think you got to do it quicker than I did. I ended up having to like push the muzzle against the wall and then do all that. But
that wasn't that bad actually. It's all about just getting this lined up here in the trigger guard. It's pretty tight.
and I think for the first time, that's pretty quick. I mean, once you get a feel for things, I'm sure it'll
Well, that was
speed up.
that was the first time I saw it apart.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that bad.
Pretty good test, you know. Idiot proofed it. Idiot test. Okay, we talked about. Of course, we're running the red dot here. I've still got my old Burris FastFire II that's been on practically every rifle I owned at one point or another. And I had the ACOG on it, and I know you guys really want to try this with an ACOG, which I found was a little bit high, actually a half-inch high.
But with the type of shooting you're going to be doing with this, I don't think that's going to be a problem.
As far as having a high ACOG,
Yeah,
or
just the-
because
just
I
the
like the
ACOG.
red dot. I really like.
I don't. I have a hard time sighting.
You have a hard time
I
getting
put that
down?
thing up to my face with an ACOG on it and I see right down the ACOG. With that, I was literally lifting this earmuff off my ear. And luckily, to be honest, it wasn't that bad. I'm not
As far as
ringing.
loud.
Yeah, I'm not ringing, and people don't sound like computers. So
And we were running it today without the flash hider. That's
Yeah.
why I put that back on just because it looks cooler. But it's surprising that with a 20-inch barrel, how little flash you do get.
yeah,
You know, compared to like a 16-inch
you
barrel.
got that really fast stuff going on.
Yeah. But I did see when you were shooting, Brock, I saw I just saw a couple instances of flash, you know, a little bit of a muzzle flash when you were rapid firing that I had never seen in my slow motion video when I was testing it before. I didn't see it. But, so,
I think a compensator wouldn't be terrible for it.
I think it'd make it softer. It'd be like shooting.
it'd be like,
27.
yeah, so soft, but my theory is, one, that's extra weight out there, and
I think it's extra
two,
weight you
it's
can give
extra
up.
length.
I mean, you're gonna have to put something on there to cover the threads anyway.
The way I look at it, if I want more length, if I'm going to add 2 more inches to it, how about just another 2 inches of barrel length?
Well, I mean,
Of course, at 20 inches, I'm really at the limit of what the advantage of going more
Higher,
for
yeah.
5.56.
but you're also, I mean, I think a compensator on that would make it a complete kitten.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't.
You'd be like shooting a 22.
It'd be like shooting
long
a 22.
rifle.
I mean, it did want to, or it went this way. It wanted to do
For
this.
you,
a lot.
you were shooting right-handed, so
Yeah.
it was kind of coming off
It
this
wanted
way.
to do this all the
And I
time.
get the same thing when I shoot left-handed, it wants to come that way.
I don't
My
know.
theory
I don't
is-
know if that's what it is. I think it's because they do have a slant brake on that thing.
I don't think that.
And there's a reason for
Why, if that was the case, it would be shooting, when I shot
It should
left-handed,
go
it would
both
go
ways.
this way.
It should go both ways.
But
They're
yeah,
the same.
so for me, and I had this on the MDR too, was shooting right-handed, come off that way.
We see it.
Shooting left-handed, come off that way. And I think it's because the pads on both of those were really, the butt pads were really wide. And
It
unless
does
you're-
have a slant brake. Is this on properly?
No, that's not on. It's
It's
supposed
not-
to. It's supposed
Oh.
to be like right there.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say it would be a slant brake then.
It's just, I think one level, but.
Are you sure this is a flash hider, not a compensator? Because I mean,
Well,
this
it's
doesn't go all the
basically
way
a
down.
flash hider, and it's basically got this end on it to keep from raising dust up off the ground. Is the theory, you know? It's,
Which-
it,
Will keep
some.
push down a little
Yeah.
bit.
So you're gonna have
Yeah.
The gases are gonna come out that way a little bit, so you're gonna get a little bit of a compensator effect. Although, honestly,
I don't know the difference.
shooting that with and without the flash hider, I'd have no, if you blindfolded me, and I wouldn't
Yeah.
know the difference.
I would
But
say
it does affect the point of impact when,
Well, yeah.
it's 8 minutes of angle off when you know, different, lower when you put the flash hider on.
That seems really weird. I guess it's
Yeah.
barrel harmonics or
Yeah, the whole, yeah, the
You're changing the whole thing.
harmonics
I
of
would
the barrel.
Yeah, I would say just put a compensator on this thing, and it would be like wouldn't.
be like shooting one of those Henry lever actions.
I was thinking about getting, some company makes a titanium flash hider compensator that's really short, and it's like 3/4 of an ounce, really
Oh,
light.
really?
I thought that'd be kind of cool to put on it, but
Depends on the titanium.
yeah.
In cold weather, titanium tends to get brittle.
Anyway, we'll have to try it with the ACOG to see what you guys think of it. Actually, I didn't like it, and like I talked about, was with this. Today I was getting kind of that Bindon aiming concept effect, where I was shooting both eyes or looking, I was dry firing at home, and looking through both eyes open, and it was like that. This disappeared, and all I saw was basically what my left eye was seeing with the red dot imposed
That
on
is
it.
light,
So it was like
but the
really
ACOG is going to mount back here, so I mean it puts all
Weight,
the weight.
little,
Well,
yeah.
it's still right at the grip though.
Yeah, what the balance fore and after the ACOG was fine, but when rotating over
Yeah.
like this way, it gets top heavy.
But I mean that's all rifles to be
the
honest.
MDR was real top heavy. This is actually
That's
pretty
less
light.
tall than the
Yeah.
the MDR was kind of tall.
Yeah, which
And the AR-15 is taller than this too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like think
the,
about like when you have low receiver,
the-
upper receiver, it's going to be.
the height above the barrel of the Pic Rail is higher.
Well,
on
I think
this.
what
It's
I'm
a half
talking
inch
about is-
higher on this.
Is it really?
Yeah.
This you're sucking up on almost like a pistol.
Yeah.
Like
Your
yeah.
Like
bore axis over
No.
the web of your thumb.
And the total height above. An AR is a lot more than that.
Is it really?
Yeah. Because you have your lower receiver and then you have your upper.
That's
So this is going to be lower to the hand. That's why I don't think you'd have an issue with the ACOG because
There was
it's already low.
One of my subscribers actually mentioned that there's a replacement, this cover here, there's a company that has a replacement piece for that, that then a mag pull cheek, adjustable cheek thing will fit right on
Oh,
it.
really?
And you can, and you are not adjustable, it's where you can buy it in
It's
quarter,
like-
half, and 3/4 inch increments. And so I could get, potentially I could replace that and put the half-inch cheek riser on it and be.
I didn't think it was
good
an
with
issue.
the ACOG.
I think honestly, like the way that I would normally do this, ACOG, I'm looking right at it right now. I have to get way down, way
Well,
on the cheek.
But you have, no, actually I think the ACOG needs to be half-inch lower. If you're used to the AR height from the, yeah, it needs to be a half-inch, either a half-inch riser here for the ACOG, or Trijicon does make a version, I think it's the TA51 ACOG, that is a half-inch lower. And they said that would be the one ideally to use with this rifle.
you can't get them out.
No, it's a different, the mounts I think are basically the same, but it's just that, that little piece that fits down into the
Yeah.
ACOG mount, it's not so tall.
I don't know if I'd notice it that much because I'm really used to doing
Chin
chin
welds.
welds with AKs,
Yeah.
so it's not a big deal.
I had no problem looking when we were just playing with it, with an ACOG on it. I had no problem looking
Yeah.
on the sight. It was way more comfortable than shooting that.
With the red dot?
Yeah, the red dot. I'm having to like cram my face all the way down into that thing just to be able to see the dot.
Yeah. I do get to get a kind of dental cheek weld, dental alteration to get in there, but
I wouldn't mind
I
shooting
do.
it with an ACOG on it.
I
Just
do
to
need
see.
to try it, yeah.
Have you shot it with one yet?
Yeah, I started off with the
Started off.
ACOG, and it was I just felt I was having to go up too high on my chin that I didn't like, and then I definitely noticed the tippiness.
ACOG's
Yeah.
light though.
Not analysis.
Yeah, that's for an optic these days.
And maybe, yeah, it's really light for an optic, but I think getting it down half-inch would reduce its leverage on this
Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah,
But you're really picking.
yeah, that's nitpicking.
Yeah.
I mean, it also, for me, I was like going, I was like going, the ACOG's not perfectly optimal, and it is perfectly optimal in my AR. So I put it on my back on my AR, and I put the red dot on this. I'm like, this red dot actually, for me, actually works pretty good with this. I would like it to be a little bit higher, but not a whole lot higher. Maybe a 1/4 inch higher, but it's okay.
We were making hits today with it, so I don't
Yeah.
doesn't mind too much.
I'd like to play with this with steel. It would be a fun gun to shoot
Yeah,
steel
it
with.
needs to be running against.
Yeah, like running with steel, shooting multiple steel targets with this thing would be a lot of fun. I think it's fun to shoot. Trigger's awesome for a bullpup. In fact, just all around awesome. Almost.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I mean,
almost
almost
awesome regardless of
almost like Ruger 1022, like
light. Yeah.
Trigger.
It does have a little bit of creep and uptake in the beginning.
Like
There's a little bit.
it's like nothing. It's like a 2-stage.
Yeah, it is like a 2-stage, but it's not. But the brake is good. The brake is really
That is
good.
a freaking crazy.
Like, that
The
is a
thing
crazy
is, the
good
crazy
trigger.
good trigger, and it's almost hidden by that loud,
Yeah.
the loud noise that the hammer's making in there. If you didn't have that, I think if you just like I had muffs on and was like running the trigger, I'd be like, that is really, really a good trigger. If it wasn't for that,
I mean, you can just feel the trigger.
yeah,
It's a really
the
nice trigger.
Feels awesome, yeah.
It's.
So what do you think about the
almost like-
mag release?
I'd get used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole using the back of your.
I never
thumb.
really got into that.
I tried
You
it.
were
I did
gonna
try.
grab the-
I tried it both times, and it seemed to work okay. I didn't have any problems doing it.
To me, like it's like reminds me of the button mag pistols. Is like, you know, kind of the grip shift you kind of like do on a
Yep.
button magazine pistol. It's kind of like, to me, it's kind of reminds me of that little bit of a shift you make.
I was just like
Maybe if
grabbing
they
it,
could come up with,
it
like-
felt better to get a hold of it and try to just make
Yeah.
sure that you're getting
You know
it
that
out.
you're getting it out,
Yeah.
not trusting that it'll drop free.
I didn't have any problems. It dropped free every
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Like it didn't stick or anything.
Across the top.
There we go.
Paddle magazine release on that.
There'd be so much crap running
That
to
would
the
be
back
like,
to the
yeah,
frame
that
of this
would be,
thing.
yeah,
Talk about making it
complicated.
fat.
Yeah, that would kind of, if
That
it could
would-
be done through electrics or electronics or something, maybe.
But I mean, just think about how much force it would take to
But-
release something like
But
that.
the thing to also look at is the fact that, okay, this is a rifle, you can actually, I mean, I talk about bringing a pistol up into your workspace for mag changes. This is one you can actually go,
Yeah.
workspace, bam, load magazine, you know.
No, it loaded fast.
I'm not
It
the
took a
biggest
second
fan.
to get used to its bolt release up here.
Yeah.
Other than that,
Yeah, coming
it
over
was
the
quick.
top like that, it's kind of, it does interfere
That does.
with, I mean.
That's something the
one
AR
thing
has. All you gotta do is hit
Yeah,
something.
you could do that.
Slap the side of it. And
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
what
if
the
you're shooting it,
MDR
if you're
had.
shooting it left-handed, you can't just you're reaching under it.
Yeah,
to
Yeah.
grab
that's
it.
true.
It's not, perfectly mirrored, but the MDR had that to where you could, come up, feed a magazine in, stay on your cheek well, and then push that button,
Yep.
release, and load chamber around.
An extra
So,
$1,200 get you
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Really, I
yeah.
guess.
But yeah, this is at least
But
perfectly mirrored, but it's.
I'd say the trigger on this is better than the MDR though.
Yep.
Yeah, Brian
Yeah.
thought that too. I couldn't. I wouldn't.
I think
The
for
MDR
sure, but
didn't
I
have the MDR didn't have the creeper uptake, but it was heavier.
Yeah.
It's probably 10, 12 pounds, I think.
I don't know if it's
That's
that
what it
much.
felt
I think
like.
this is probably
It's
just
probably
really light.
10
This is
pounds.
probably 4 or something.
Yeah.
4
I bet
and a half.
the MDR is probably 10 pounds.
Yeah, I don't think
That's
so.
It reminds me of
It was a
those-
really crisp break.
It was a
though.
crisp break, but it was stiff.
Yeah.
Really
I didn't ever think the trigger was stiff, but the MDR had those mag release buttons that were like an AR, but it was like a 20-pound pull
Yeah,
or push.
those things kind of suck too.
It was like,
It was way easier to use the back one.
yeah.
Good luck actually using those.
I did get them if I got the MDR, some points greased inside the MDR, I could make those kind of workable. But yeah, they weren't I think this mag release is actually
It's fine.
What's pretty good, interesting, cool is it's a brilliant design to make AR mags work with ambidextrous.
I mean, you just reach up.
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't even have
I mean,
to
look
hold
how
it.
simple
You just-
that stupid thing is. It's like a spring clip that.
Now the
Yeah.
question is, if you guys start running around with this thing, you gotta bump this,
Yeah.
drop your mag or anything like that, because that's a pretty big.
Yeah. Actuator
Yeah.
point. Yeah. And that's something that really concerned me when I was thinking about doing my technique of transitions, where you come back off the pistol grip and grab the mag well, and then back to the pistol grip, out. My whole thing is then you're still on target. You're able to fire at this point out to clear your body armor, which I don't have, but and then back in and then out like that.
Well, I mean,
But
I felt like you had the MDR made you kind of do that due to its weight. This
Yeah.
is so light.
Yeah,
you
so
can
it's
pass
so
it
much
through
lighter.
the hands. Yeah, you can almost toss it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is risky.
Yeah. But
I
it's-
always felt like when you're switching hands, this is how I do a paintball gun. It's always just,
Mhm. Yeah.
and I've never had that slow me down. I've never dropped it,
Yeah.
nothing like that. Not even in tournaments. It's just.
And
Yeah. That's definitely faster. I always just felt like that other way. Okay, if I'm fighting with real guns, maybe that's
But
a
if
little
it came
more
down
sim-
to it, I'm still.
yeah,
I'm still.
yeah, shifting.
Still.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's just that 1 second where
Yeah. You could basically almost pull the trigger at any point during the
During that whole
transition.
transition. wouldn't be accurate, but
Yeah.
you could do it.
Yeah. Make something, a loud noise, and make somebody duck their head.
don't see any QD mounts on this thing anywhere though.
It's got these weird,
Like clips.
like these weird
Yeah.
clips here. You got those there. This one here. Yeah, no QD, anything. You'd have to mount
the
something
unlock.
QD there, but
And there's
there is a
nothing-
company that makes a replacement buttstock here that has a QD mount, but they put it right there, which I'm like,
That sounds like an awful
that's
place
a
to
dumb
put it.
place to put it with your ejection point right there. I can just see a case go bing back inside there and fucking things up, I don't know, but
It should be like here.
what I've actually thought is like, okay, why are we doing slings on a rifle like this? Why don't I have a Kydex holster that goes click, like right here, and then I just run around hands free and just click there and then just like a pistol.
Sling also keeps people from taking it away from you though.
Yeah. Okay, I can have one of them. The what's that company that makes the retention holsters? The ALS or whatever. The Safari Land.
You still have a
Safari Land.
lanyard or something on it?
Safari Land, where you actually got to reach in and push a button. They're actually then
No, slings keep it like if you're actually like using it and someone tries to grab
I'll grab it.
they
and you
can't.
Yeah,
They can't pull
they're
it away
dragging
from
you
you.
with them.
Yeah.
It also means they can grab onto it and drag you down the highway from their vehicle.
That's good. But yeah, well, all this thing's been pretty dope. I like it.
Depends on how it holds up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see how it
That's-
goes up
that's
as the time
the-
rounds through it.
That's the big question is, will we have? Where will it break?
A lot of stamp
eventually-
stuff back here.
Huh?
A lot of stamped back here, but
But they looks like they
Shouldn't
took,
be
they,
issues
they
with
took a lot of
stamp
pointers from Kalashnikov on this one
Yeah.
too. Except they made a bullpup that doesn't suck.
yeah, and it's piston driven.
It's piston driven.
Not a whole lot goes wrong with that.
Nope.
I do
It's super
wonder
simple
how the
build
welds
system.
will hold up with long
bolt
term.
carrier
Yeah,
group.
ball carrier group and the welds on the piston.
But
I wonder what that part costs is to have that in your your.
I mean that's a whole bolt carrier
The
plus
end of the world as we know
gas
it
tube.
locker.
yeah, I mean, you're talking about your whole bolt
Piston
carrier
and
plus
bolt.
the piston.
Yeah. A
But
couple of firing pins, and maybe this thing's good for.
I doubt the firing pin's gonna be a problem. If it's made out of decent steel, I think it'll be fine.
yeah, because that noise is not the
That's
fire.
not
Yeah,
the firing pin.
That's,
yeah.
that's the
That's
stamped arms on that thing.
Yeah, hitting
Yeah.
more stamped steel in front of it.
Now, something I've noticed, I don't think we ran into it. We did get a little bit of where Technic was getting hot, but
I didn't notice that.
one time I didn't have this pin here holding this foregrip all the way in, and it was protruding out a little bit, and I reached up, and it was
Hot?
really hot. Yeah.
right there by the gas block.
Yeah, yeah. And that's one thing I've worried about. I'm like, okay, well, how well is this Burris FastFire going to hold up there where
It's
there's
getting
all
cooked a
this
little
heat?
bit, maybe.
Yeah, the heat, and I thought it might even get fouled with debris and stuff, but it's actually blowing most
I mean,
of the exhaust.
I got the
out
barrel
here.
smoking today,
Yeah.
and I didn't feel any heat in the foregrip at all.
Yeah.
muzzle flashes that time.
Muzzle flashes?
Yeah. You have to watch as we
That's
shoot
hot.
more. Yeah. These little pins, they will get hot.
It's smoking.
The little pins, yeah.
No,
the barrel.
Yeah, but those pins can get
Hot.
hot.
warm.
Yeah, can get hot for under sustained fire. But you're supposed to have the battle won within a couple mags, right?
That's the idea.
We didn't try it with any 30s though. We should have
Yeah, no.
tried it with some 30s.
I had a bunch of 30s with me. Just had to yank them
Didn't
out of the
know. I
bag.
didn't know they were there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind trying it with some 30s just to see what the weight felt like.
We'll have to try it with the 30s and the
The
ACOG. Yeah.
Well, hey, you put a 30 in there, you kind of counteract the weight up there.
Balances out the ACOG until it runs out. As the ammo diminishes, things, oh, it's getting wobbly.
It's too wobbly now, Ken.
shoot
Literally
it anymore.
unusable.
Wish the safety would go on without having to.
I mean, ARs are like that too.
Yeah. Without having to have ammo
If,
cocked.
if it's not cocked, you can't put it in safe.
Yeah. Safety worked all right,
Yeah.
left-handed, but that's more training, I think. I definitely have a different grip, I think, left and right.
Yeah, of course, I have my defective thumb that won't lift up to work it when I'm doing right hand. I can't get it on top of it, but I do like that I can work the safety, and unlike almost every AR made, it doesn't interfere with me on this side.
The AR flips different for
Yeah.
fire though. It flips the other way, which I think actually helps. Makes it easier to flip.
A little bit easier to get a hold of, but
Yeah.
you don't run in with the
'Cause-
ARs. When you put an ambidextrous safety on an AR,
Yeah, but
you
the
run into
AR
interference on the opposite side.
I just think it forces you to use your C-clamp trigger, so.
with the AR,
Yeah, yeah.
You're
Forces a good
forces you to do it.
trigger position. Yeah.
I guess it's the same. Just
But
flip
the
it up.
detents on this are really good. I really like
Nice
that.
and crisp.
Yeah, that was one thing that Desert Tech MDR was always a little bit, I mean, it was okay, but they were just like, if this thing wears in any at all, those detents are gonna suck, you know, it's gonna be
Flopping
floppy, yeah.
That feels snappy.
Yeah, that feels really crisp.
I mean, safety is easy to use.
It was harder on my left with a glove on, but that's probably something with where my thumb is ending up.
Oh, now I can see it.
The red
Yeah,
dot.
you don't have the muffs. It's easy to see it with the muffs on.
I could not
Yeah.
get this left-handed.
I'll have to try it maybe with plugs. Cause that's what
Maybe.
I switched to using plugs and it was like really, I thought it was helpful. Cause I was always pushing my muffs up and it was starting to
Yeah, I could
bit
not.
of ringing
On my
after
left,
a
I
while.
just could not get sight picture at all. Like, or couldn't see the dot.
Yeah, but that's not RDB's
No,
fault.
that's not its fault.
That's its
a-
owner for putting shit optics on it.
Yep. You should have left it.
Actually, that's a
on.
good optic. The Burris is actually pretty good red dot. I mean, super lightweight. And this is 2 generations ago. They've now got the Burris FastFire IV.
Aimpoint T2.
But this is still like super lighter. This is probably
It's
like
lighter.
a
No,
third
it's
of the
lighter than
weight.
the Aimpoint T2,
Yeah.
but the T2 is a.
You drop it on that thing and it's done.
It's
Yeah.
done. Aimpoint T2 is made to take an explosion and has a 2 MOA
Yeah.
dot.
Okay, if you're talking war fighting, yeah, it might be a little bit better. But I could probably carry an extra one of these in my mag pouch and have it zero ready to go.
And you have way more options as far as brightness.
The new FastFire IV has a whole bunch of different reticles. A whole, like the ring with the dot and crosshair. I mean, a whole choice of different. Yeah,
I mean, just give me a dot.
Yeah.
I want a dot, and I want to be able to change those settings based off the lighting.
Let's get an ACOG.
Yeah.
Yeah, ideally, I would like to have the ACOG on here.
Well, I mean, the ACOG's going to work on there just fine.
It just works awesome on my AR though.
It's made for them.
If I had the Trijicon, if they send me a freaking TA-51, I'll put one of those on here. It'd be like awesome.
I'm still not going to switch off an AR. I'm not going to buy one of these. And but for a bullpup, this thing's pretty awesome.
I'd get the Defender version of it. Depending on how long this thing lasts this summer.
See how we run into any malfunctions.
Yeah, and by that time it'll be the end of the world anyway, so probably gonna get one. But
It's probably true. It was really hard to get this one.
but yeah, I want to see how it lasts.
Yeah, definitely
Especially
wanna check
getting
it.
it really hot. I want to see it get real hot See if those
Well,
welds
they
hold.
do. They also have a heavier barrel versions of these. They're a little bit heavier.
I think that kind of
The barrel looks fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like
I
your
mean-
standard medium
Yeah,
size.
but they do have it's
That's kind of pencil barrel.
This
to
is
be
closer
honest.
to their pencil barrel
Yeah.
thing,
Oh yeah.
but it's
Standard AR barrel is almost twice that thick.
Yeah.
But if
That looks like Ryan's
a
pencil.
well-made barrel, a pencil barrel's
Yeah,
fine.
I mean-
I don't know how
Nothing wrong with pencil barrels. The only problem is they get hot really fast.
Yeah.
And they stay hot.
And they stay hot.
they'll dissipate.
Not chrome lined. Not sure why they're not doing that.
Yeah, it's probably just because it's expensive.
It is expensive. But
And if done wrong, will just
so
won't last long. You know, ruin your barrel really quick.
yeah.
That's something I'll give BCM. Their chrome lining, and they got that down to perfect science. They know what they're doing. KelTec should have barrels.
I would like to get the one with the M-lock. The adjustable length of pull.
I think the length of pull on
It was fine, but I just think it'd be nice to have that.
Yeah.
Actually, I found comparing this to my AR with this length of pull is actually my AR all the way extended.
Yep.
So it's
That's what I
actually
thought.
pretty long. I mean, it doesn't feel long when you're shooting it, but it's actually longer than the AR
Yeah.
with the stock all the way extended.
But it looked like you could because they just use these on their adjustment. They
Yeah,
just
so
use
it's-
these screws,
Mhm.
and there's just slots. So you have like you can adjust it however you
Extend it
want. You can
more.
make it as perfect for your length of pull as you want. That looks pretty cool. So I gotta have the M-lock.
M-lock rail, yeah. I think there's several third parties that are making replacement foregrips for these.
But is that something you want to look at? Because I mean, I've heard that isn't this new plastic they're using some really good stuff?
To me, this plastic feels like some of the best plastic. I guess it's DuPont Zytel is what it's called. It's the polymer. Polymer sounds better than plastic. It's polymer, and but this compared to like some of the other, I mean, like the P17, the plastic on it. I mean, I love the P17, but it's plastic. This feels really lightweight.
It feels
This
lightweight. And
This
brittle.
feels almost, especially this part, feels almost not rubbery, but I don't know, like it's got something else in it. It's
almost
I know.
soft.
yeah, kind of
Like-
soft, but not. But you can't dig your thumbnail
Right.
into it. But it's like, yeah, it's just I don't know. I don't know anything about plastic metallurgy or whatever that science is for plastic, but it just feels a little bit. To me, it feels a little bit different. It feels a little more robust. At least some parts of it feel more. The plastic feels more robust than the MDR did. I do know that Desert Tech, their MDR X, which is the new version, is supposedly they improved the plastic polymer on it, but I do like. Yeah,
And
to me it feels
see
awesome. It feels really decent.
It's definitely one of the best bullpups I've ever shot.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about the pistol grip. I mean, I wish it was more vertical and maybe a little shorter like the MDR, but
No, I like that. I mean, the 45 is fine. I mean, that's pretty standard.
I like them more.
The good thing about it is that this is sucking in
Yes,
nice
really.
up at the top.
And that, I think, you notice these little cups right there? Right there, right in where the web of the thumb. It looks like they learned their lesson from the PF9.
Maybe they did. Hey, round that
I've
up
heard
back there.
Brock and Brian
You know-
say, that PF9 will beat the shit out of your web of
You know
your
what they
thumb
did?
right there.
They made the guy that designed that gun continually shoot mags out of it, and then he was like, "Man, this sucks. We should not do that again."
Yeah.
No, that fits in
That's
perfectly.
nice, just a little ergonomic, like
I mean, it's
gets you higher up in the grip, and it's super comfortable.
it's nice, but the BCM Gunfighter grip feels way better.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, I don't know why they don't just make this a replaceable piece, so that you could put it.
Yeah, choose whatever
choose
grip
the
you
AR
wanted.
grip you
Yeah.
wanted.
But I guess
Probably
it's
has to do with the fact that to get that trigger,
And
the
maybe
transfer bar for
Oh,
the trigger
yeah,
is
it's
going
probably-
through
it's
there.
probably going
So
through
it's
there.
probably, they
Built
couldn't
into
work
that.
around that, so it's probably some of them
design
engineering
things.
choices they had to make, like, oh shit, we can't do an AR.
well, they built a
For-
bullpup
for-
better than the British government could. So
The L85.
yeah, the L85. What a piece of junk.
I mean, look at it. I mean, like KelTec, And sometimes some of their stuff you go, man, that kind of sucks. The implementation of it. I mean, the design idea a lot of times is great, and then the implementation is like, I think they did.
This
really
is not
well.
one of those guns. This is not an SU-16
yeah.
by any means.
I actually like, for the SU-16 for what it is for a backpack rifle, where you can fold it up, put it in your backpack, it's actually pretty good for that. It's not a go-to-war rifle.
No,
you
it's
know,
not.
Not a go, but I think also, you know, you guys have had this hard on for the PF9 for so long, but I think the PC-17 kind of softens you up a little bit in advance of the RDB. And P-17, you're like, man, that little pistol's pretty freaking awesome for a little 22. And so now the RD makes it here, and it's kind of, the terrain has been softened up a little bit. The hate has been attenuated
No,
a little bit.
they did good on these. They did good on these. Actually, PF9 is the most miserable gun you will ever shoot. The SU-16 just feels chintzy, and
I feel like
receiver. They don't blow up, but they crack. And they're just not.
And they don't operate in cold weather.
No, they do not. Run in cold weather worth a damn. And maybe that was the lube we were using at the time.
No, I mean, it was just... I don't think it was the lube. I think it was just the bolt is too light, and when things get super cold, and those
That plastic kind of
plastic shrinks. It's not the plastic, it's the feed
polymer.
lips on the magazine. Will tighten up on that bolt, and it can't strip it out. Because I had like frog lube in that thing.
Yeah.
I don't see frog lube. The frog
That
lube's
works
not
in cold
gonna.
weather.
That works in
Was it
cold
a
weather.
polymer magazine you were using?
No,
was
it
it
was steel.
stock?
It was steel mags.
Steel mags?
Steel box mags.
Yeah, but we were also shooting Laramie.
I mean, it was negative. It was negative 20
something like
degrees,
that.
but it could not strip. Could not strip the
Who
rounds out.
knows?
of the
Maybe
magazine.
this one's running negative 20.
This doesn't have.
It's going to be a while before I have that opportunity to test this at that temperature.
But,
I mean, I think it could. I don't see any reason why it would have a temperature issue. The SU-16 is going to have that problem because the whole frame, the entire thing is polymer. The bolt is super lightweight.
doesn't have a lot of inertia.
Yeah.
But nope. KelTec, you done good.
Yeah, I think so. Call it a wrap till we can do some more testing.
It's like I can get more of my thumb on it. Right. Like it's getting in the crook of my thumb more.
I think it's more a flexibility issue.
Probably because I
Don't do the left.
dislocated that thumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good to wear plugs for it.
Oop.
Just like paintball, huh?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. See?